Most people believe influence is about charisma hacks, confidence tricks, or memorizing clever lines. Because that's what mainstream coaches sell. Surface-level tactics that look good on camera, but collapse in real conversations. And the truth is that real influence has nothing to do with performance, and everything to do with the invisible, psychological forces shaping how people perceive you before you even speak. Forces that most coaches don't understand, can't teach, or are too afraid to acknowledge because they require depth, nuance, and a level of self-awareness that can't be packaged into a quick tip. Mainstream advice focuses on what to say, but underground influence begins long before words. In the subtle signals you broadcast through your emotional baseline, your internal narrative, and the way your nervous system interacts with the environment. Because people don't respond to your words, they respond to the emotional field you carry. And if that field is grounded, coherent, and self-led, people feel it instantly, even if they can't explain why they trust you or feel drawn to your presence. Most coaches teach persuasion as a logical process, but humans don't follow logic. They follow emotional certainty, the felt sense that you know where you're going, who you are, and what you stand for. And when your emotional state is stable and congruent, people naturally sink to it, because the human nervous system is wired to seek coherence. And the person with the most coherent internal state becomes the emotional reference point for everyone else. Mainstream persuasion focuses on techniques, mirroring, phrasing, tonality, but real influence is identity-based. Meaning people respond not to what you do but to who you are, or more accurately, who they perceive you to be. And when your identity signals align with strength, clarity, empathy, and grounded authority, people feel safe following your lead. Not because you manipulated them, but because you activated a version of themselves that trusts you. Most coaches teach body language as a set of gestures to decode, but underground practitioners look for micro-contradictions, the tiny mismatches between words, tone, posture, and emotional energy that reveal someone's true internal state. And when you learn to see these contradictions, you stop listening to what people say and start listening to what they mean, which gives you access to the real conversation happening beneath the surface. Mainstream advice tells you to stay confident, but underground influence is about nervous system regulation, because the person who can stay calm, attuned, and emotionally present in the face of tension becomes the stabilizing force in the interaction. And humans instinctively follow the stabilizer, not the loudest voice, not the most charismatic person, but the one whose presence makes the environment feel safer and more coherent. Most coaches talk about controlling the conversation, but underground influence is about controlling the frame, the unspoken rules that define what the interaction means, who leads it, and how reality is interpreted. And the person who holds the strongest frame doesn't dominate or overpower. They simply refuse to abandon their internal truth, and others naturally fall into alignment with that truth because it feels more stable than their own. Mainstream persuasion is push-based, trying to convince, persuade, or change someone's mind. But real influence is a loop of observing, attuning, adjusting, and guiding, where you're not forcing outcomes, but shaping the emotional environment in which decisions are made. And when you master this loop, influence stops feeling like persuasion and starts feeling like resonance. It's a natural alignment between two nervous systems. Most coaches teach you to be more confident, but underground influence teaches you to become a mirror for the identity someone wants to embody. Because people don't follow you, they follow the version of themselves they feel when they're around you. And when your presence activates their aspirational identity, they experience you as a catalyst, not a persuader, and influence becomes effortless. Mainstream coaches avoid the shadow, insecurity, fear, ego, emotional wounds, But underground influence requires integrating your shadow so it no longer leaks into your communication. It's because unintegrated shadow creates micro-tension that others can feel, even if they can't name it. And when your shadow is integrated, your presence becomes clean, grounded, and trustworthy, which is the foundation of all ethical influence. Most coaches teach behavior modification, but underground influence recognizes that your energy, your emotional tone, your internal coherence, your psychological posture shapes the interaction before any behavior occurs. And when your energy is aligned, your behaviors naturally follow. Your communication becomes congruent, and people respond to you with a level of openness and trust that no technique can manufacture. You've now seen the influence secrets mainstream coaches will never teach you. Not because they're forbidden, but because they require depth, self-awareness, and a level of psychological mastery that can't be reduced to quick tips or viral hacks. And if you feel the pull, that sense that you're meant to understand influence at the level where it actually works, beneath the surface, inside the identity, inside the nervous system, inside the subconscious, then I invite you to continue this journey inside the influence underground, where we go far deeper into the real mechanics of influence and give you the frameworks, practices, and lived skills that transform not just how you communicate, but who you become.